All right, Chase, the coaching cycle is just about wrapping up. We're waiting for the New Orleans Saints to make their final hire. They interviewed Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver last week. They're now on to Kellen Moore, the Eagles offensive coordinator. They're going to fly to him, obviously, because Kellen Moore's got a lot on his plate as he's preparing for a Super Bowl. So we'll see what the Saints decide to do. But in the meantime, over the last few days, tons has happened. Let's just start with the Dallas Cowboys, because that's really been the odd one in all of this that we couldn't figure out because we didn't know what Jerry wanted to do. Well, it turns out Jerry didn't want to really go that crazy, or he did go crazy, depending on how you look at it. According to him, well, he thinks he went a little crazy based on how he thought about it. But Brian Schottenheimer, who is the offensive coordinator, has been in the league for years, has now been named the head coach of Dallas. So I thought Jerry had a really interesting take on why he went with Brian Schottenheimer, also knowing that fans did not like this. This was not a hire. Like, if I'm Brian Schottenheimer, I am not opening Twitter for a while. And look, that'll all change, right? Like, he wins a few games, no one cares. But for right now, like, this was not great PR. In fact, you know how I knew it wasn't going to be great PR? Because they dropped it on Friday night. If you're going to put out the news about a new head coach, you're dropping that Sunday morning on, all the pregame shows. They just, slipped it out on Friday. So let's take a listen to how Jerry explains his hire.
Now, I get my proverbial ass kicked over needing people in my comfort zone. Without this thing being about me in any way, if you don't think I can't operate out of my comfort zone, you're so wrong. It's unbelievable. This is as big a risk as you could take. As big a risk as you could take. No head coaching experience.
Why is he taking the risk then?
Well, he also went on to say, yes to some, and it might be couched as a less than glamorous hire. What I would say to fans is I got here taking shots and not shoddy shots.
What does that mean?
I don't think he meant shoddy as a shot. Obviously,
I think he did.
All of this is weird, too much words. I don't know what he's trying to say. He sounds defensive.
He sounds really defensive. People hate. I imagine that he hates when people are calling him out. But that's a little bit. I mean, let's be real, Diana. In your professional opinion, if you were a Dallas Cowboys fan, how would you feel about this hire?
I would be frustrated that he wasn't more aggressive earlier.
It feels lazy, right?
Schottenheimer being the choice now, based on what was out there, what was left. It just seemed like they never had a plan from when they decided that it wasn't going to work with Mike McCarthy to where we're at now. I don't think Jerry Jones knew he'd be in this position the last week of January. Just going with the offensive coordinator of the fired head coach. Has it ever been
when you
done,
put it
by
like
the way?
that way? When you put it like that way, I can't. That's funny.
Matt Eberflus is going to be the defensive coordinator.
Great hire. So, I think that's a great hire.
He was very good when he was in Dallas. But I just think if I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, I have a lot of nervous energy that the owner is now making decisions that aren't great. I've always thought Jerry made good decisions. He's not perfect, right? He's got his flaws, but I've always had belief and confidence in his vision and what he was trying to do. And I'm worried that may not be the case anymore, that he's lost that grip. And that's what he was addressing, because he doesn't like to be told that he's lost his fastball. He does not want to be told that he's not the same businessman Jerry Jones used to be. So what do you know about Shoddy? What do you think we're going to be able to at least see from Dallas in terms of offense? Dak's comfortable with him, so I think that's great. That's where probably when I get asked about it, I'm like, well, I'm always for the quarterback liking the person that's coaching them. I'm going to go for that to start with because he's the most important part of this team right now.
It seems a little bit like a lazy hire, like you were saying. I mean, you didn't say the word lazy, I did. But it felt like he was sort of caught with his pants down a little bit when they didn't agree to extend or the years and Mike McCarthy. And then he's like, oh man, I got a late start. My question is just like, why wouldn't you bring Kellen Moore in for another interview? I don't know. So I actually, I didn't know what to think of Brian Schottenheimer when he got hired, because I know he's been a lot of different places offensive coordinator wise, and I think he does actually a pretty decent job calling plays. So I asked Drew Brees, because Drew, if you remember, Brian Schottenheimer was his quarterback coach for the San Diego Chargers. And the first thing that came out of Drew's mouth was, and I'm reading a text from him, shout out Drew. He said, I love him. He's a great coach and he's a great communicator. Thought he's done really well with multiple play caller in multiple places. And I said, okay, that's good because you've been with him, but how will he be as a head coach? And he just brought him, I'm not going to say verbatim what he said, but he said that. No, he actually sent back like a paragraph, and I don't want to just out him and everything he said, but pretty much the rapport between him and Dak, I think, is what, and some of the team leaders, I think what really pushed him toward that job. Like, hey, we don't want to make a rash hire. We don't want to do this. Okay, he's got a rapport with the team leaders. Dak absolutely loves him. Let's just see how. And honestly, like Jerry Jones, if they make the playoffs next year or whatever they do, we could be looking like fools. So I don't want to like crap on the hire, but at the same time, if I'm a fan, which I'm not, of the Dallas Cowboys, I grew up in the Dallas area my entire life. My whole family's fans. It's just sort of a lazy hire, if that makes sense.
I wonder if they're going to look back and regret not getting Deion. We were a pro Deion show. I think we both were enticed by that. I was, based on what was out there at the time. Yeah. I just always, look, a lot would have come with it, but.
And I think that's why Jerry didn't do it, right? Because I think Jerry, I mean, I act like I know him. I think what Jerry wants is I know what Jerry wants is control. And with Deion, I don't think if Deion's a head coach, Deion's going to let the stuff happen that's been going on there for 35 years since the last head coaching hire they got right with Barry Switzer and Jimmy Johnson. You know, so I'm actually sort of glad Deion didn't touch it, because I feel like it's a little bit of a lose-lose for Deion, because if he doesn't get to do it his way, then his reputation may get tarnished there depending on how it all goes down, all that stuff. So I'm actually glad on this side that he stayed away from it.
Thanks for tuning into Scoop City. If you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. We drop our new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.